Now, as you can see, I'm here at my computer, and I'm going to show you what it would be like as a student. Many of you have already done this, so again, if this is old hat to you, feel free to skip through it. But many of you have been asking these questions about how am I going to spend 3 hours a week on this site? Well, I've gone to the site, and I'm kind of doing this here as we go. I'm going to bring this over here. As you can see, I'm live here at my computer, and I'm going to go to topic 1. And you've been watching these various video presentations. For instance, this is the most recent one, Lecture 3. And again, I'm reissuing all of these with the narration. These are the new and improved version of it. And so here I am opening up the site. This was the cause and effect. That's why it's got the little dominoes effect going here. And you'll notice that as you open it up, I begin the narration. Now you're not hearing it at this point because I didn't want it to cover up what it is that I'm trying to do here. If you ever do want to adjust the volume, there's a little speaker icon here. I'm going to bring it all the way to the left to mute it. And notice also here on the bottom right, I can go full screen with this. Now notice something else that I'm also doing as I'm looking here at the lecture. Yes, I'm taking notes. I'm not just simply looking at the video and saying, got it. Just like any class that you would take with lectures, you're going to be taking notes on these. Now the advantage is, in class, you might have to raise your hand to get an instructor to slow down or something like that. Don't have to do that here. Notice, I click at the bottom left, and I can continue the video or I can pause it. All right? So as I'm pausing it, I'm making notes about what the instructor, in this case, me, is saying, and the points that I might be making, things that might be pertinent that we want you to learn, and things that of course might show up on the test and things of this nature. And so as you can see, even if this is say a 30-minute video, whatever it might be, then you're taking much longer than that to take your notes, to pause it, to do the kinds of things that will be, sorry about that, to do the kinds of things that might be useful for you in a course like this. And so you have those kinds of advantages because this is an electronic medium, a digital medium, where it's not just real time. You're able to pause things and do the kinds of things that you need to do there. So as you're doing that, you're making those notes, and in terms of additional time, maybe you don't get it the first time. Maybe there's some things that you might have missed. How many times have you watched a movie, say maybe it's even one of your favorite movies, and you really enjoy it, but the second time you watch that movie, you see something you didn't see the first time? I'm a big movie fan, so that happens with me frequently. There's movies that I've seen a dozen times, and the 13th time I watch it, I still notice something that I've never seen before. Oh, that got past me. I never noticed that before. So feel free to view these videos at least twice, maybe multiple times, whatever it takes for you personally to learn the pertinent things in that particular video. Now, another thing that we want to look at to deal with one of those questions is that you're also using your time in the site. Switch it over here real quick. You're also using your time in the site to do the assignments. That's more time that you're spending, okay? And so on these discussions, let me tell you what I'm looking for here. I've already described that in the rubric. For instance, let's go back to this, how can you be sure you know anything? Notice right here, 5 to 6 postings well distributed throughout the week. Very clear that the readings, in this case the videos, were understood and incorporated into your response. All the online protocols were followed, demonstrates an excellent grasp of all 4 principles of logic, etc. I'm expecting you to go through and to read this rubric. That's why we publish it, because this is how I'm going to evaluate how you participate in the discussion. So see, that's another thing that should take some time. The reason why we're saying 3 hours on the site is take some time to post a well thought out response and then do 5 to 6 of them. Make sure that you're responding to your classmates as that this is supposed to be a discussion. You're supposed to be going back and forth. And we all know a good discussion can take 30 minutes of your time. As you're reading the discussion and you're reading other people's posts, maybe longer than that. Well, there's another half hour of your 3 hours there for every discussion. Maybe more than 30 minutes. Who knows? It just depends upon how in-depth you get and those kinds of things. So please do bear that in mind, that it's easy to spend 3 hours here. I'll be sharing some things with you in the future that will consume even more time on that. Before we leave this, let's also go back and look at this opening site, this opening page here. Again, on the right-hand side here, you have all of your reminders that are coming up that have to do with your class calendar. There really should never be any excuse for you saying, for any student saying, rather, well, I didn't know there was going to be a test on this particular day, or I didn't know when this particular assignment was due. For instance, you've got coming up your thesis statement form assignment, where you're going to be going into that assignment and downloading this term paper approval form, and you're going to be going to the Center for Student Success, and they will help you to formulate your thesis statement. We've already talked about that a little bit. And then they'll sign it, you will sign it, and then you'll turn it into my office at 103, in office number 103 in the Fine Arts Building. Please remember that it must be signed both by you and the Center for Student Success, somebody who works in there, and that will be helpful to you as well. One other thing, a student asked about finding their way around in Schoology and, not being all familiar with the system. Well, remember, I'll go over to this once again. Remember, there's a Let's Get Started folder right at the very beginning. Most students are supposed to have already looked at this. For instance, right here where it says Schoology Tutorials, you must view this item. The reason for that is, look at all the helpful hints here on this link that will enable you. This is from the company that produces Schoology. Look at all the helpful links that you have here in terms of getting started on Schoology for students. This is actually published by the people who developed this software. Mobile apps, courses, personal accounts, things of this nature. And really and truly, that's not all. Because you also have all kinds of instructional video tutorials out there that if you'll simply Google that, if you'll type in Schoology tutorials for students, let's say, something like that, you'll have a wealth of things that will come up that you can click on and even get more instruction there. So, with that in mind, hopefully that has covered most of your questions. We haven't even talked about how much time you're going to spend on the site when you're writing your term paper, because you do all the writing of your term paper on the Schoology site. That will count towards your 3 hours, and that will be a lot of time that will be on there, because this is going to be what we call a Google assignment, whereby you'll actually be writing, where you'll actually be writing the paper on the site, and I can see your progress as you go. All right. So I can, if there's a student that we're 2 weeks into this and they haven't written a word yet, I'll be messaging you and encouraging you to get started on that. I want to see daily, if not weekly, progress on that paper when that time comes. Okay. So hopefully this has covered it for you. And we will talk about some other things later. But again, I appreciate your questions. That's how we came about this video today. It was as of a result of a couple of people's really good questions that they had messaged me. If you have any other questions, please feel free to message me over Schoology. Remember to keep track of that calendar, and that'll keep you abreast of everything that's happening in the course. I'll be posting Lecture 4 here with the narration very soon. Take care. You have a good day.